smartest 10 people in the world get together and write a strategy and you can hand it off to people, it'll never get implemented.
And now, your podcast hosts, Andre and Christian.
Welcome to Connecting for Future, the podcast where we discuss the ways in which we can build a better tomorrow. I'm your host, Christian Koesling, and with me is my co-host, Andre Brusia. Now, as a leader in the technology industry with over 30 years of experience working in different countries around the world, ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Business, Mr. Vinod Kumar.
Thank you so much, Andre and Christian, for having me with you guys. It's a real pleasure.
Vinod, great for having you here. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background and your experience in the tech industry?
Yeah, now I need to date myself. I've been in the technology industry principally around B2B services on a global basis with a heavy involvement in telco, internet, and cloud and data services long before they became fashionable. And I've done it around the world in multiple continents with fairly deep experience in the US, Europe, as well as in Asia. And my roles in the companies that I've worked in have covered, sales, marketing, strategy, and for many years now, P&L management. Just before I joined Vodafone, which was about 4 years ago, I was in Tata Communications as the CEO of that business running a global operation.
I'm running out of script a little bit, Vinod, but just as you mentioned, sales and marketing, I always think that it's very important for a business to have these two functions be very close together. Is that also your view?
Yeah, listen, I completely agree. Over the years, as I've built organizations and helped many people build their careers, I've always stressed on the importance of them spending time in sales, because that's when you really get firsthand with customers in the market and competition, and you learn a lot. And then within an organization, especially in today's context, building propositions that are attractive to customers and that are differentiated from competition can only happen, or I should say are critical to win. And the linkage between sales and marketing with no loss in transmission is also super important. So having those together and being, it's not necessarily about reporting lines. It's actually about making them work together very closely is a prerequisite for success.
Absolutely. So there's a lot going on in the tech industry right now, Vinod. We're really interested to hear your thoughts on change in the technology field. How do you perceive the change and the fast pace of the change currently?
I'll answer it a bit differently from how normally people in the tech industry like to think about this, which is clearly technology keeps evolving, and now every single person is talking about generative AI and LLM and ChatGPT-4 and so on and so forth. And there's always a hype. Sometimes it's blockchain, sometimes it's quantum. I think it is important for us to understand that at the end of the day, what really matters is customers' business evolution. And the more we can stay close to that change and not the technology change primarily, right, and see those as something that have to be coupled together, the more successful we will be as an industry, because we will deliver real outcomes. Because these hype cycles also fade away and then emerge again over a period of time. But usually the technology becomes suitable once the technology adapts itself to the customer's business situation and the change cycle they're going through. The world doesn't wait for, build its future based on what's happening in technology. In a way, I'm being sacrilegious here when I say it, but I think the more the technology business professionals, all of us, think about delivering customer business outcomes, we can use these new technologies, which are very powerful, but we can use it more effectively. So that's how I'd like to think about technology. And also I'd like to think about innovation in the same way, right? It is the innovation really begins to take off and the effect is seen when we view it through the eyes of the customer.
That's a great point, Vinod. It takes ambition to embrace change and will be willing to take risks. Can you tell us how you stay ambitious and motivated?
I think life would be boring if you're not ambitious and motivated, right? What do you get out of bed for? The way I like to look at it is not, about so much about personal ambition, but I like to think about it as the opportunity that is out there, right? And any way you look at it, from a society standpoint, both consumers, small businesses, and so on, there are, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of consumers who don't have digital services in their life. Things that you and I take for granted, they can't even imagine it. There are, millions of businesses that don't use basic digital technologies, right? So the ocean is so big. So if you think about what remains unaddressed, I think that itself is quite motivating. It gets one out of bed. The second thing is, going back to my previous answer, when you think of the technologies that are constantly coming out and the innovation, the simplicity, the ease of use, right? We are scratching the surface in terms of the impact those technologies have on business outcomes. So rather than look internally alone, I think if we also look at what is remaining to be done, that gets me very motivated to try and push myself, motivate the teams, and encourage people around me, and build institutions that can cater to that untapped potential in the market. And I don't think we'll ever fulfill it. That'll be, that's a moonshot we keep working on.
Vinod, what can we do the technology is always there, right? And there's a lot of technology. How do we make sure that our customers understand the full potential of technology? Take 5G, for example. There has been some momentum in the market. I always think it's not fast enough because I think there's so much potential, but some customers, some industries haven't yet, I think, scratched on the surface of what some kind of technology can really do for them.
Yeah, 5G is a great example of a technology that has huge potential, right? If you think of 3 dimensions of 5G, the scale at which it can operate in terms of number of devices that can operate simultaneously, the security, which is considerably a step up over previous technologies, over Wi-Fi, even the most latest Wi-Fi technologies, in terms of latency, in terms of throughput. On every technology vector, it's actually very powerful, and it is game-changing. However, we need to understand that, let's say we take 5G to a factory, right? It's not just about offering this. The whole factory has to be reinvented in terms of its layout, in terms of new sensors with new radio modules on the machines and things. If you want AR, VR, you need to have headsets that are operationally suitable for people to wear for many hours a day. And it is important for us in the technology business to bring together the ecosystem of technologies, which means we have to bring multiple players together to solve the problem holistically for a customer. A global CIO once told me, Vinod, your technology may be great, but you're taking a small problem off my desk. Please take big problems off my desk, right? And that means if to take a big problem off a CIO's desk or a manufacturing head's desk, you need to actually work in a more holistic way than each of us thinks. So the cloud guys go and talk about how great the cloud is, or somebody talks about AI, somebody goes and talks about security, and we go talk about network and all these other things. And then we leave the responsibility to use this combination of technologies with the customer. So at Vodafone, we're really focused on seeing how we can build, for example, 5G solutions with an ecosystem of partners through our Edge Innovation Labs or our 5G future forums to say, this is how we can actually take a big problem off your table. And this is the benefit that you will see. And you will see it in the output of your factory. You will see it as an improvement of your cost structure or your speed to market and your revenue acceleration. That language begins to cut through rather than say, 5G is great for latency, 5G is great for security, because, yeah, it is. But then the customer says, okay, I'll do it later because I have to work on these 4 other pieces. So if we can bring, the 4 other pieces and us together, they really want to embrace these new technologies.
So it's about business outcomes. It's about ecosystems. Yeah, that's some great advice. Thank you, Vinod. Vinod, you're leading a massive organization globally. And I personally always ask myself, how do you lead an organization on a global scale with that kind of diversity in cultures and backgrounds? And can you help us understand in your approach to leadership?
Well, frankly, leadership is really about only about people at the end of the day, right? So there's no other factor that you're massaging into a shape and strategy. So I feel that a few things help. One is having a very compelling North Star and a vision for the business that is bold, ambitious, that is multi-year, that will, refresh itself automatically. So that's one. Also, over the years, I've learned that when you build this kind of vision, you have to build it with everybody's input and signature and imprints on it. You can have the smartest 10 people in the world get together and write a strategy, and you can hand it off to people. It'll never get implemented. You need to get those dozens and hundreds of people somewhat involved in the creation of that, and you have to let them shape it. And it's not just a series of workshops. You actually give them the freedom to change it if required. So I think setting a North Star that has the input of the largest number of people possible in an organization is a critical part of leadership. The second is to be really transparent with what success means and how that success will build over a period of time. So you need to show the baby steps that lead us to the big goal. I think the third thing is to accept your own vulnerabilities to people, to say that this is the direction we're going. There's some things that I know, some things that I don't know, or many things that I don't know, or we as a leadership team don't know. But that should not stop us from doing it. Let's go do it. Let's try things together. Let's fail together. Let's celebrate both success and learn from failures. But doing that in a very sincere way and not sort of a corporate or too formal a way. I think when people feel it organically, then they will actually enjoy being part of that journey and will actually stretch a lot and sacrifice a lot. And then the last thing I'd say is, and this is a challenge in large organizations, but it can be done, and I've had some success, many failures also at it, which is finding a way to link people's personal purpose with their professional purpose. For me, that's the killer, right? When you do that, then people will just blast through any challenge, will work through the hardest of times, will go for any mountain. When they feel that, hey, what matters to me is somehow has a good overlap with what matters to the company or my team, right? And as a manager's role, like I can do that, and I try to do it for the direct team for me, right? So I try to say, okay, at your stage of career, what is important to you? How does that map with what's important to Vodafone, right? How does that link with what Vodafone Business does? Then they feel like when they come to work and they're being stretched, that both the company's objectives and their personal objectives are being fulfilled. It takes a little bit of effort. And if they do it with their next level team and then the next level team and so on, you suddenly have an engine that really has aligned interests together. It's effort, but for me, it's the really important part of achieving success together.
I still remember when you started at Vodafone 3 years ago. We traveled to customers across Europe. However, there was also a lot of change in those 3 years. We had COVID, so the whole world changed. What role do you see Vodafone playing in the broader digital transformation?
Well, we have a big aspiration there. Our goal is to be the trusted advisor for digitalization for the businesses we serve. Right now, it will vary depending on the size of the business. We need to be humble about where we can make a difference and where we can't. So if we go to very large multinationals, we're very confident that when it comes to leveraging next generation connectivity technologies, whether it be in IoT or 5G, in the future 6G, in terms of software defined networking, in terms of using different kinds of security embedded in our wide area networking solutions, building quantum-proof VPNs. We're very, we have the capabilities to deliver a lot of value for them. When it comes to mid-sized businesses, our perimeter expands. We would like to be the trusted advisor that the mid-sized business comes to for anything to do with digital. It can be related to simple connectivity through the kind of devices they need to provide various employees in their organization, to cybersecurity, to productivity, CRM, SaaS solutions, to creating a web presence, optimizing their digital advertising spend, anything digital. We believe that through our ecosystem of partners and through our advisory service like VHub, we can add value to them. And then when it comes to a SOHO customer, right, we serve 5 million SOHO customers across Europe, and then even more when we look at Africa. We believe that we can make them independent businesses, and we can actually help them plant the seeds and make those seeds grow into much bigger businesses over a period of time. So there's a lot that we can do, and in the public sector, we really are already providing a lot of critical national infrastructure, critical technology components for many players in the defense sector all across the world. And so we play different roles for different people, but at the end of it, if you summarize it, we like to be the trusted digitalization partner for businesses, and our scope will vary depending on their shape and requirements.
Coming back to the role of technology, Vinod, how important is technology to play a part in solving the big problems and challenges we have currently in the society globally?
Obviously, my answer is a bit biased and self-serving, but I see technology as the only unlock. I won't say only unlock. I'll come back to it in a second. The critical unlock in order to make some of the challenges that we face in the world, lessen their impact and go away over time. And also, I think technology has a really big role to play in leveling the playing field and including all people in society in the journey that we're on, and to reduce the gaps in society that are quite painful. So I really believe that the innovation is so powerful, and the innovation that we're seeing in different domains, it can be in compute, it can be in networks, it can be in biology, it can be in the area of geology and so on. But when they come together, I love those combinations, right? And therefore, the more we look at combinations, the more we go outside our boundaries, the more impact it can make on the world. But I have to say, that is technology. But I think the big challenges and the big opportunities that lie ahead of us will come from human beings becoming much more aware of our responsibility to the planet and to each other. Right? Once that is the foundation, that's the starting point, and then technology is, I would say, the top critical enabler to make those vision and dreams be realized.
Right. And Vinod, how do you see AI playing a role in the future of technology industry?
I'm not an expert in AI, but obviously very been following not just what's happening now recently, but it is a big topic. And I have a more balanced approach to AI, and I see considerable upside and opportunity to leverage AI that will further humankind. I don't see AI as something that will kill employment and take away jobs. But as technology is always done in the course of human history, some jobs will be replaced, some jobs will be made redundant, some jobs will be made more efficient. But always it's a little bit like a whack-a-mole, right? Like you'll have other things that pop up. There'll be other needs that have to be catered to. And that's going to happen again with AI. We've been dealing with AI in different forms for the last 20 plus years, and if anything, there's more jobs that have been created. Many parts of the world have difficulty hiring people fast enough. So the world will reinvent itself, work will reinvent itself, reconfigure itself around AI. And where things are not productive, AI will help us become more productive.
Vinod, in Germany, I always or sometimes I see a tendency of people that look at technology that don't see the chances of establishing technology, but that see the risks associated with technology. What advice would you have to have a clear view on, what technology could really do and not have a too much risk focus in that sense?
Listen, risk awareness is very important, right? But I often quote a bit of a Buddhist phrase which basically says, when there's pain, you approach the pain, right? And to learn more about it, and then you figure out how to deal with the pain, and the pain eventually goes away. The same thing with risk. Just because you know that there's a risk doesn't mean you stay away from it. Actually, it's more important to go closer to that risk and to understand it, to study it, and usually human ingenuity will make sure that a solution is found for that risk. To sit and think that the wave of technology will not land on the shore that you're sitting on, I think is a bit naive and a bit silly. So it's better to actually realize that the wave will come and will land on the shore, but you can actually choose to ride that wave or get swept away by that wave. And we need to be humble to respect that wave, but we also shouldn't be afraid of it. We need to figure out how we conquer our fear, work through the risk, and actually ride that wave.
Throughout Europe, small and medium-sized enterprises form the backbone of the economy. So companies with up to 249 employees and annual sales up to 50 million euros. Which advice can you give to business leaders in the SME mid-sized enterprises?
I would say that in the period that was started at the end of or during COVID and after, the amount of technology that is available for a mid-sized business or even a small business to operate with the speed not necessarily speed, to have access to technology that enables them to do anything a large business does is unprecedented. Now, a small business obviously can operate much faster because of its scale and can be more agile. Previously, it wasn't the case, right? Certain technologies, whether it came to networking or when it came to cloud or when it came to SaaS solutions, were really available to very large businesses which were sophisticated users that had big CIO organizations, so on and so forth. Today, you can be a small business and have access to nearly all that technology that will allow you to compete with them effectively and to build your business dreams. And there are many small businesses that are doing it. So my friendly advice to an owner of a small business would be, don't be intimidated by technology. Embrace it. Speak to trusted people and start the journey. And the journey will unfold over a period of time, but start the journey and don't keep waiting.
Quick fire round.
What sport would you compete in if you were in the Olympics?
Gymnastics. I've never done it, so it'll be cool.
If you pick up a new skill, what would that be and why?
Juggling, because I can keep my kids entertained.
What's your best remote work tip?
Don't multitask.
What book changed your life?
The Bible. I don't mean it facetiously. I actually genuinely mean that. And then also I'd say three things. The biographies of Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi also just made me aware of how you could actually drive very large change movements without if you put yourself a bit behind and practice servant leadership. Meaning it's a journey. I don't think I do it, but that was very impressive.
Vinod, before we wrap up, do you have any advice for our listeners who are looking to pursue a career in the tech industry?
Same as with that I had as advice for owners of small businesses. Technology. If you're interested in change, if you're interested in something which is future-proof, the tech industry is a fantastic space to be in, and the beauty is it can be applied. And it makes an impact to every other industry in the world. And therefore, if you want to make a big difference, you want to learn constantly, and you want something which is a set of skills that is quite transferable on a global basis, this is a cool place to be.
Awesome. And we already know, unfortunately, you are leaving Vodafone by the end of the year. Would you see Vinod again in the tech or telecommunication industry?
Yeah, I've been in it for 30 years. I'll remain in it, but it will be in adjacent areas to what we do in Vodafone.
Thank you again for joining us today, Vinod.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Connecting for Future will be back shortly with more insights into the world of technology. And please hit the follow button to stay ahead of future episodes. All the best and take care. Your podcast hosts, Andre and Christian.